Hello everyone, welcome back to Naan Bhai. This is me Ankita, and today we are making a slightly tricky recipe. We are making a Genoese sponge. The sponge that we are making today is vanilla flavored. It is plain, and the reason I say it is tricky is because Genoese does not have any racing agent in it. It has no baking powder, it has no baking soda. So all the volume and the air that you're getting into the batter is from whipping whole eggs with sugar. Now you're going to heat up the eggs in the sugar first over a double boiler and then start whipping them after it reaches a certain temperature. Now the reason you heat up eggs is because when you heat up eggs, it is easier to incorporate more air in it. Now one more thing to remember about Genoese is, if you can, try to measure all the ingredients in grams. It is just going to be better with this sponge. I mean, you could use cups and spoons, that's okay, but it will give you 100% result if you measure them in grams. You have to be really precise with the measurements when it comes to a Genoese sponge. Now there are many other kinds of sponges out there, but this is, at least you must try it once, because if you can get a Genoese right, trust me, it's really satisfying. So I'm going to tell you all the little tips and tricks that are needed to make a great Genoese, and as we are going through the recipe. So let's quickly take a look at our ingredients, and then we're going to jump right into our cake. Genoese sponge, it is always a better idea to keep everything prepared beforehand, because once the batter is ready, you do not want the batter to sit even for a single second. And trust me when I say that, it is important to put it in the oven right away. So I have preheated the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also 180 degrees Celsius. And this much amount of cake that I'm making is enough for 2 8-inch cake pans. Now I'm using slightly taller ones. It is always better if you use tall cake pans when you're making a Genoese. And I have greased and floured one of them, and I'm going to show you how to do the other one, because greasing and flouring is a very crucial step when you're making Genoese. So of course, soften butter and go in upward direction when you are greasing a cake pan for Genoese. That will help you, it'll ensure that the cake rises upwards properly. So it's really important that you grease it in upward direction. Actually, this is a good idea to do it with any sponge that you're making. It just helps it rise better. So with this one, I don't prefer spraying, just greasing is always a better idea. So like so, and then the bottom. So this is properly greased, and now I'm going to flour it. Some extra flour here. So you're going to swirl it like so, and of course make sure that it reaches the sides, and then the excess, tap it out. Sorry about the noise. So here we have our greased cake pan, which is perfect for a Genoese. The next step would be to sift all the dry ingredients. Now, dry ingredients, actually there are not much. There is just flour and salt, and I've already added the salt to the flour, and I'm going to sift this. Now, if you can help it, it would be great if you can sift the flour twice for Genoese. It just is more helpful. You have to make sure there are no lumps, flour lumps in this one. So I'm going to sift it once right now, and then maybe one more time before I am going to put it in the eggs later on. So I'm going to sift this and keep it aside. And then the other thing that you want ready is melted butter. So this recipe uses very little amount of butter. Now you keep it melted beforehand so that it is ready to use, and it's not hot but slightly, like if it's lukewarm that's okay, but it shouldn't be hot, it will deflate the batter. So I've melted the butter and I've kept this ready to use. Now at this stage, I have the eggs in a mixing bowl, to which I'm going to add the sugar, and I've already heated up some water, and I'm going to take this over a double boiler. Bring the sugar and the egg mixture over a double boiler and start whisking it continuously non-stop so that the egg mixture does not get cooked. This is a very important step. The eggs need to be stirred continuously. Now what we are looking for here is the sugar is dissolved, the egg changes color, and the temperature is slightly lukewarm. If you're using a thermometer, the temperature should be between 110 degrees Fahrenheit and 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, you could dip your finger in and feel that the temperature is lukewarm and the sugar is all dissolved. This is how we know that now the mixture is ready to remove from the heat. Bring the cooked eggs to the stand mixer and start whipping it using the whisk attachment of your stand mixer, and keep whipping them till the eggs have tripled in volume and of course the temperature is cool. Also, they will turn very pale in color. The batter is now light, fluffy and pale. When you lift up the whisk and the batter falls, the fallen batter should stay like that for about 3 to 5 seconds and then dissolve into the rest of the batter. If it stays for 3 to 5 seconds, that means the batter is ready. If not, then you can whisk it a little further. Now without any delay, I will quickly start adding the flour. I've sifted it one more time, so it is being sifted twice. Now add it in. Now there are two ways of doing it. Either you add it in 3 additions, or you can add the whole thing in one go, because if you are going to do 3 additions, that means there will be more folding. And if you add all of it in one go, then you can just fold it, just at a time. So I'm going to use a spoon to spread it around gently and quickly start to fold it in. Now remember, when you're mixing it in this kind of a bowl, the flour likes to go settle right in the bottom. So scrape the bottom of the bowl to make sure there is no flour lump sitting right there. And if you can see, I'm going in this kind of a J form, like this way and around, this way and around. So trying to knock as little air as I can. This is going to decide the height of the sponge. Now see, as I'm going down the bowl, I can see flour that is settled in the bottom. We don't want that, because if we have flour patches in the cake, it's not pleasant. So I'm going to try and scrape the bottom and mix it as gently as I can. Now most of it is mixed in. I will mix the remaining once I have the butter. So the butter is heavy, of course, because it's fat, and this is a really light batter. So if I add all the butter into this, it's going to sink right to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the batter and put it in this. Using a little spatula or a spoon, mix it. This is, you can either say we're tempering the batter or we are sacrificing the batter. This will make the butter a little light, and it will kind of, blend into the batter more easily rather than sinking to the bottom. So there it is. The butter has become lighter. And now I'm going to add it to this. again, gentle strokes, mix it in. Now it is nicely mixed in, and I'm going to pour this quickly into the cake pans without any more. But I am going to measure the batter because I want them to have equal height. So there we go, and this goes into the oven. I'm going to start with around 25-30 minutes, and then I'll see how long it takes. So the cakes are out of the oven. It took about 30 minutes, and let me show you. This is what they look like. So they're looking good. With this cake, I'm not going to let it cool all the way before taking it out of the pan. I will still make sure that it's a little warm before I take this one out of the cake pan. So I'm going to give it like 10-15 minutes, and then we will depan our cakes. So the cake is a little cool, and it's been about 15 minutes. So I'm going to take it out of the pan because I don't want the vapors to kind of make the cake like moist and tacky. So I've taken one out. The other one, I'm just going to use a knife and run it around. Though I am quite sure it's not going to be stuck, but just, in case. And flip it. There we go. Oops. And then turn it around, and there we go. So that's it for this sponge. I'm going to let this cool down 100% before I slice it from the top because it is quite delicate and quite soft. As you can see the texture, if I press it down, you see how spongy it is, So I'm going to let this cool down completely before I slice the top off. And then with this cake, you do need a simple syrup. Before you start assembling it, you will need simple syrup, which is 1 part water and 1 part sugar. You boil it together and you have your simple syrup. So in this one, usually if you're flavoring a Genoese, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, the flavoring goes in the simple syrup. Sorry about that. So like I'm going to add my vanilla to the simple syrup and then soak the cake and then start assembling it. So and also I would like to mention this: if you want to make a chocolate Genoese, you replace 20% of the flour with cocoa powder and sift it together, and you have your chocolate Genoese right there. So that's it for this cake. If you have any questions, I will definitely make sure to answer them because this is a tricky one, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So try this recipe out, let me know how it goes, and thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and you enjoyed it. Thank you.